I'm Corbett Wall with DB Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, October the 16th, brought to you in part by Zactran. October opens a gate for bovine respiratory disease. Slam it shut with Zactran. Remember to observe your 35-day withdrawal period after treatment. For more information, go to Zactran.com or visit with your BI representative. Stocker demand is light pretty much all over the country, and that's kind of unusual because when you see lightweight cattle in big strings, normally there's good demand for them because they got lots of options and lots of opportunities to come out on those cattle, but there's just no place to go with these calves anymore. Our feedlots are full. We're in a position right now where we've kind of got lighter or more manageable numbers of market-ready cattle because we're in the period of time when those cattle would have been placed. It was right during the very, very worst of the COVID when there weren't a lot of cattle placed. So we have taken advantage of it. This week we didn't really take that much advantage of it, and the guys weakened and shouldn't have done that. So we've kind of lost the draft now, and we've been hung out to dry. As far as our market is for gaining any more ground, it'd be hard to gain any more ground now during this cycle of lighter market ready cattle. But these lightweight stocker calves, and I mean even in the light fours up to in the fives, they're just not selling like you would think they would. Only in special cases, and you got to have a big reputation, guys, to get it done. Big reputation. But it's unfortunate. It's just so dry all over this country. Way out west here, still in Fallon, Nevada, but was here for the big Ranchers for Trump rally, which was a huge success on Wednesday. Raised close to $500,000 for the Donald Trump victory campaign, and we're just tickled about that. Don Jr. did such a fantastic job coming and speaking, had everybody excited, and it was like a college football game. You know, the crowd was just going wild, and it was a great time, and we think we did some good. And I tell you what, you didn't have to worry about any protesters. Everybody just agrees. I don't understand where they find these polls. They must be taken in the deep, dark depths of the big cities, all these polls, because when you get out in medium-sized country, medium-sized towns and out in the country, everybody is for Trump. I travel all over this country. Rarely do I ever see a Biden sign. But like I said, I think you have to have a yard to put a Biden sign out, and most of his supporters don't. Anyways, it was a great event that we saw, but it is dry. Of course, it's Nevada. You'd expect it to be dry out here. Talked to some guys there at the sale and at Nevada Livestock Marketing on Thursday. They'd come for the Trump rally and the special feeder cattle auction on Thursday to buy some lightweight cattle like they always do to graze through the late fall and the winter in California, and they were buying some calves, but not nearly as many as normal. And they didn't have places to turn them out, and it hadn't rained yet. So they were kind of gambling on a rain coming, but we don't see it in the forecast anywhere. So it's pretty scary. You go out in the midsection of the country, it's dry. Of course, your farmers have been loving it because they've been just rips-on through this harvest here and moving right along, and then the grains somehow got in their favor and they've moved up, and so been a great harvest year for your farmers, and they have to live. We understand that, and we're glad they're getting right through that, and they love to farm, but it is dry. There's no place to turn cattle out. You go out into eastern Colorado, it's dry as a bone. The biggest part of Kansas has been pretty dry, and you get down into Texas Panhandle, western Oklahoma, southwest Kansas, just dry. There's no winter wheat pasture grazing to speak of unless you got some irrigated. And of course, now that there's not any wheat, they're probably going to get a decent price for it. So your wheat farmers are not going to let you graze it unless it's your own wheat. And a lot of guys don't have that advantage. But it's dry. There's no place to go with these calves. Your feedlots are full of yearlings that they come off the green grass pastures. They're slam full. Your growing lots are becoming slam full, and with no forage to turn these cattle out on, there's just no place to go for them. And I was helping auctioneer at Nevada Livestock Marketing, and just like every fall, which I've been through it a jillion times, you just get down to the late part of the sale and you got these small consignments of calves, and they don't have any shots and they're not weaned, and it's hard to sell them. And I don't care where you're at, what kind of a premium sale you're at. I don't care if you're in the middle of the Corn Belt, or if you're in the Sand Hills, or if you're in Missouri, or if you're in Kansas. It doesn't matter. Wherever you're at in October towards the end of the sale, it's like pulling teeth to sell calves, because there's just no place to go with them. And you start running out of buyers, and they get full, and they don't even want to play anymore, and it just drags and drags and drags, and it's a sad situation, especially for the consigners, because those are your small guys that probably need it more than anybody. But starting out when you're on the main line selling your reputation cattle, you can go right along, but it's just not any place to sell these higher risk cattle. And I get a kick out of my friend John Campbell with Winter Livestock in La Junta, Colorado. If you guys watched his video for on Wednesday for his sale, on Tuesday he was talking about these guys short weaning these calves, for a week to 2 weeks, and how ridiculous that is. That's just poison, guys, because as soon as the cattle get to where they're stressed already, and then you put the shipping on top of them there, it's just poison for the guys that buy them. And they'd be a lot more apt to buy cattle that are just pulled off the cow that day. I mean, it's just kind of a whirlwind day, and one big day is a lot better than high stress for 2 weeks and then putting more change onto them. But it's quite a deal. But he talked about you'd be better off going out and having your wife slam your head in a pickup door if you're going to short wean those calves. So I enjoy watching his videos, and I think we kind of support each other, and I think that's a good way to do it. But let's talk about what else is going on. It's time to get behind this Cattle Market Transparency Act that Deb Fischer put front. It's kind of a dwarf off of the 5014 bill that NCBA killed at the summer meeting with all of their big outfits, their associates down in the southern plains, your Texas Cattle Feeders, your Kansas Livestock Association. They were able to pretty much kill the 5014 deal. They've put this deal up where they're supposed to be monitoring things to see if there's any competition in your markets. Well, what kind of competition you're going to get from some of these packers? We also got news this week that JBS got fined $280 million for bribery. And that's many times. That's the way they do business. They just continue to operate that way. They think that's part of how you do it. Maybe it is in Brazil, but it's not here in the good old US of A. But we've got these cattle trade associations that are supporting outfits like that. And they fought tooth and nail to keep from forcing these packers to get competitive against each other and save the cattle industry. So we've got this Cattle Market Transparency Act. It does not demand 50% negotiated cash trade. It is going to be regionalized. So, and that's what I was telling you guys from the start when I was pushing the 3014. 50 was too much in the southern plains. You can't ask that much. It won't work. It's pretty easy when you're sitting in Iowa to ask for 50% when you're already at 50%. But when you're in Texas and you're at 6 or 7%, 50% is too much. You got packing plants there that would be forced to do that haven't bought any negotiated cash cattle for years. How are they going to get to 50%? They don't have any fat cattle auctions in the southern plains. How are they going to get out there and try to meet that? We just don't have many cash traders anymore. It's going to take a while to get that rig turned around. But and also the bill that Deb Fischer put out also calls for some opening up of the confidentiality and some more report information, and it's really a good bill there. Another bill just like it, or the same bill actually, has been introduced in the House with Vicky Hartzler there of Missouri. So this is going to be a good deal, and now we're starting to garner support for it. So we've got a bunch of these affiliates, and many of them are affiliates of NCBA that continue to fight it, and they do not support it. And I tell you what, whose side are they on? There's literally nothing bad in it for cattle people. You know, if you're just all for the packer, yeah. And we don't want to force the packers out of business, but you know, during the COVID, they were making over $2,500 a head. I think they'll be all right. You know, they kind of take care of themselves. When you dictate the market on the buying end and you dictate the market on the selling end of what you're processing there, you can kind of take care of yourself. But you know, we don't have any fight on these monopolies anymore, but we have to put something in to save this industry. It's going right the way of the hogs and the chickens, guys. But literally nothing bad in it. All the onus is on the packers to get out there and buy cattle in a fair, competitive way. We've got a lot of your cattlemen's associations, and I told you guys, you got to support your grassroots, whether it's a county, a tri-county, or whatever, but something that you can get active in and not just be another person that's paying dues there. But most of your cattle associations are getting together and they're signing on to a letter, and the Southeast, for the most part, all of them are in it. Your Corn Belt, for the most part, are all in it. Of course, you know, TCFA and KLA in Texas and Kansas, they're fighting it because they've just got so much dominance from your major packers and corporate feed yards that are in bed with the major packers, and they just got too much clout there, and so we can't get it. What's really disappointing is Oklahoma, with just a smattering of a few feedlots in the Oklahoma Panhandle out there in no man's land, and then you've got the bulk, the heart of Oklahoma is all cow-calf producers and backgrounders, which this would save. You know, these guys, your backgrounders haven't made any money on cattle for years now. And now they're starting to think twice about coming in, giving these big prices for stocker type cattle because they can't make any money on them. But Oklahoma, they're sticking tight with their buddies at TCFA and KLA. Whenever they're a whole different beast there. They are a cow-calf state and a backgrounder state, and you would think that they would look up and realize that this bill is supporting and will, in effect, save the industry. And like I said, there's no downside to it. But we want to talk about your board on Thursday. October live cattle futures down 60 cents, 107.77. December down 72 at 109.55. Going out front from there, down 35 to down 80. Very disappointing board, and that's basically what killed our upswing in the cash fat cattle market that we've seen over the last month or so. October feeder cattle up 55 cents at 138.92. November up 15 at 136.47. Going out from there, and they were all down. So it was just your nearby front 2 months that were up on feeder cattle. The rest of them all down from 82 cents to $1.52. So that's depressing there. But the corn and beans have just been so volatile and garnering so much support, mostly from a big influx of export, and a lot of that to China. And a lot of people are saying, oh, we shouldn't let them have our cheap grain. Well, what are you going to do? These grain farmers, row crop farmers, got to live also. You know, so they eventually have to get a price. You can't raise corn for $3 a bushel forever. It doesn't work very good, and so they have to get a price for it. And they say, well, you can't let China come in here, or these other countries coming in here and buying our cheap grains for export. So what, we're going to raise the price? Well, when you raise the price on them, it raises the price on everybody. And what's happening? Well, the demand is up and the price is going up. So we're seeing that. So corn was rocking around 310 there all summer long. December corn on Thursday up 7.25 cents, broke $4 a bushel, 403 3/4 right there. In a whole scheme of things, that's still pretty cheap corn, but it's higher than what we've been used to the last several years. Beans have been very volatile. I mean huge swings whipsawing one way and then the other, and it's kind of hard on these farmers that have been hauling them right in to the elevator and cashing them in there. But they were back up 6 cents on Thursday at 10.62 1/4. Your fat cattle trade, we didn't see the bulk of the trade. It started on Wednesday there, but we didn't see that many confirmed sales. But they picked those up on Thursday's report, and we did have more confirmed sales on Thursday, and so we're moving right along on that. We're going to have kind of a disappointing trade week, under 80,000, unless we see significant trade on Friday, and really doubting that, because I think anybody that was going to take a dollar lower, $1.08, and a 1 to 2 lower, 169 or 168 dress basis, they probably already done it. But disappointingly, we heard several people just bailing at the 108, and from what I've heard, the people I've been talking to, a lot of them have got time on them, 2 to 3 weeks out at 108. Whenever you've been gaining $2 a week here for the last 4 weeks, that's very disappointing. I tell you what, it's hard to get that thing going in the right direction. And then when you let the board just hiccup you like that, and you say, well, you didn't have any choice. Sure, you had a choice. Don't sell them. You didn't have to sell them. They wasn't holding a gun to your head. But I'm barking at your cash sellers, and they're the only ones that are fighting. The lion's share of your cattle feeders are just sitting back, letting these few negotiated cash traders make the market for them so they can take it the next week. And you can't feel sorry for them. And we're trying to get legislation that would force the packer to come in and buy more cattle negotiated, because the cattle feeders are too independent and too heavily influxed or influenced by your corporate packers, because they're in bed with them, and they're not out there trading cash either. So we're having to go about it the backside. But you look at confirmed sales, Iowa, 5,600 head on Thursday, almost 29,000 for the week, from 105 to 108, 165 to 168, but largely 108 and 168. Nebraska, 14,300 on Thursday. That's almost 32,000 for the week, 106 to mostly 108. 167 to 169, and kind of a spread there, guys. 167, 169. Kansas only 500, 14,500 for the week, 108, 168. Texas only 200 on Thursday, about 7,700 for the week, all at 108. Box beef cutout values were down, but on pretty good movement. 236 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. Choice cuts 210.48 down 60. Selects 196.50 down 277, and we should see that start to turn around here as we get later in the month. We should start to see some demand from basically your holiday demand. But if they don't get these restaurants open back up and people don't get out, food service is not going to get too ambitious to fill their freezers up. Or make orders if they're not sure that they're going to be able to have customers come in. We've got to get this country open back up, and I cannot wait until the election is over and Trump wins, and then we can go on. And they've forced us, and then used their leverage and their power within the states to lock everything up and shut everything down, and we've got to get open back up. But your slaughter, so far for the week through Thursday, 476,000. That's 4,000 more than last week, and 14,000 more than the same week a year ago. So your packers are getting pretty aggressive there. Your actual information come in, and your average dress steer weights 924 pounds, which is huge and steady with the same report the week before. But I want to also talk about what else is going on. Don't miss out on the Frank Hazelrig Cattle Company sale there. They've got their 8th annual Family Values production sale. It's going to be on Sunday, October the 18th. Family Values, going to have it on Sunday. You say, well, we don't work on Sunday. It's not work to them. They love it. And they have their family involved, and they're going to have their friends and people that they do business with come into that production sale, and it's going to be a good time. It's going to be on dvauction.com. So look for that sale there, your 8th annual Family Values sale, Sunday, October the 18th. If you want more information, go to fhccbeef.com. dvauction.com, or you can go look at the online catalog at dvauction.com. Let's talk about feeder cattle markets. Real-time index on DV auction late on Thursday, 139.28, down 27 cents from the previous day, and it's just pressure from calves and pressure for calves. And if you get any true yearlings in there, or some calves of a feeder weight, if they've got the right condition and they've got the long wean on them, they got all their shots and everything, they still sell pretty well. Your farmer feeders are kind of getting active. Those that are on the back side of their harvest, they get pretty active buying, and they don't mind feeding a calf, so that's saving them. But for one that needs turned out, it's just light demand, like I started out the report with. But well, winter livestock in Pratt about 21.50 there. Feeder steers unevenly steady, but did note over 900-pound steers $1 to $2 higher when they had them. Feeder heifers uneven, 4 lower to 4 higher. They did note, and I don't talk about that enough, and you guys asked me to, but there's so many other things to talk about. But your packer cows, your slaughter cows, weigh-ups, just a lot of them coming to town. I tell you what, especially in these dry areas. Talking to a friend of mine down in southeast Arizona, and he said, oh my God, it's just so dry here, and you think it's Arizona, it's always dry. Well, they do have a lot of cattle production down there, but it's just abnormally dry. And they just where they would have 80 to 120 cows every week, they're having 500 cows at the auctions, and that's mostly down there at Wilcox, which is a DV auction broadcaster, and you can watch that sale every week. But we're also seeing kind of a volatile cow market because there is good demand for beef. And so these big fleshy cows selling pretty good. At Pratt, they quoted the big breaker cows $3 to $5 higher. And you say, why do they call them breaker cows? Because they got enough flesh to them and enough marbling that they're breaking those most expensive cuts out. And that's why Ponderosa has steak night, guys. Your boning cows are cows that are lean enough that they bone the whole things out. But on lean cows, they were $6 lower, while your breaker cows were $3 to $5 higher. Farmers and Ranchers Livestock, Salina, Kansas, 2,400 head there. Feeder steers steady to 2 lower. Feeder heifers $4 to $6 lower. Few 6-weight steer calves were $2 to $3 higher, and those are on those reputation kinds. Want to talk about some of your big quotes there. Ogallala Livestock, Ogallala, Nebraska, 5,200 head, steady to $7 higher with these big reputation consignments. Look at 54 head, 450-pound steers bring 185. Look at some big feeder cattle sales. Feeder weights there of steers. Clarinda, Iowa, 62 head, 825 pounds at 146. Columbus Sales Pavilion there in Columbus, Nebraska, 64 head, 901 pounds at 144. Here in Fallon, Nevada, where I was at, the K&N Livestock, Lance and Sierra Knudsen, they had their fancy lightweight steer calves in there, and heifer calves. The heifer calves, the ones I'm going to tell you about, they had condition, they had everything right, and they had the reputation, which was the key, and there was a lot of them. But look at them here in the ring. 141 head of these stocker heifer calves weigh 387 at 184.50. Nevada Livestock Marketing, Fallon, Nevada. But the biggest quote that I saw all day on Thursday come out of Mocan Livestock Market, Butler, Missouri. My good friends, the Herzogs there. 119 head of steers weighed 779 off fescue grass at 152. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.